Welcome. The topic for this video is how to deal with the actual margin and reset margin logic that's in the inventory screens in SBC. I'm going to start by going into the inventory screens to show you how those function. So I'm going to go into D, Inventory Management. Number 3, Display Alter Part Numbers. I'm going to type in my clerk code, and then I have a part already set up here with some pricing in it. So you'll notice on the right-hand side of the screen, the pricing column is my actual prices. I'm selling this part for $26 list, $23.64 retail, and so on. My cost is right below that at $13, and my actual margin is the actual margins that are being that I'm getting at this point. So I'm getting 50% gross margin for this $26 list price, 45% gross margin, 40% for dealer, 35% for stocking dealer, and 32.99% for jobber. Now, we have screens and we have functionality that's available so that we can either take what's in the actual margin and update the reset margin column, or you can import data into the reset margin column using either convert.uni, a CSV file, or a stuffing program. And the reset margin is what I actually want to make on each level for this particular part number. Now, because these fields exist on the part record, I can change them and they can be different for every single part in my inventory. That's probably not very easy to maintain. Most of our customers set up their reset margins for an entire line or an entire category, and then they have a few parts that are either hard to order or for whatever reason the margins are going to be different, so you can go into those parts specifically and customize what you want the margin on those parts to be. So I'm going to copy what's currently in my actual margin table, and this would be the first thing that I would do if I was going to set this up for a series of parts. So I'm going to manually do this here, but as I said, you can either stuff the information into the system or you can create an Excel sheet and convert it into SBC. So I've rounded to the nearest whole number here. So in the case that I was to get a price update and my cost were to change, the idea here is that my margins have now gone down. I want my new prices to reflect what my margins were. To do that, I'm going to hit my escape key and I'm going to go into my inventory custom reports. I'm going to type in my clerk code, and I very well could have had a saved library job for this function. I don't right now, but I can make one and I can save it and then use it in the future. So first I'm going to go into my selection options and I'm going to select the part or parts that I want to update. I'm simply going to use the one part that I'm using as an example here. Pressing the home key to get back to the main screen, and then I'm going to use this updating area at the very bottom of the screen. So I click on Update Options, and the first question that I see is Reset Prices from Margin Percent. When I say yes, that turns on the functionality that's going to go through all of the parts that I've selected and update my pricing dependent on the margins that I set in my Reset Margins column. I'm going to press the Home key because there's nothing else I need to do on this screen, and I'm going to press the Enter key. I pressed the Enter key so that it ran it. Notice that it updated one part for my DUG line. That was my test part. I'm going to press the Escape key or click on the Exit button down here on the right, and I'm going to go back into my inventory, type in my part number, and now you'll notice that my margins match my reset margins and that my prices have gone up. So the idea here is that instead of you having to maintain list price, retail, dealer, stocking dealer, and jobber manually, and by manually I mean doing a stuffing program to update these prices once you receive a price update, or having to mess with importing a number of different columns of information from an Excel sheet into your prices, and then maybe having to go and manage those afterwards. Perhaps you wanted to make more on a particular line, or you have some parts that the margins that your vendors provided to you just don't work for you. This allows you to set your margins and to say, I don't care what the prices are that my vendor's giving me. All I care about is the cost that they're providing me. When I import the cost into the cost field, my system can go and maintain the margins that I want to maintain on all of my parts. Now, if your reset margin fields are blank, the system assumes that you don't want to update the part in question, and they ignore that part. So there's no need for you to use a lot of criteria to say, I want to only look at those where I have information in my reset margin fields. Again, that means that if this is completely zero, this part isn't applicable to run that program that I just ran. But one more time, let me run through it again. I come in here and I either import the data into these fields or I can manually enter it. I'm going to change it up here. 50, 45, 40, and 35. I save that information, and then once I receive a price update or I change my margins, I can go into the inventory custom reports. So I'm in D4, type in my clerk code, select the part I want to update, and then click on the Update Options button and say, yes, I'd like to reset my prices using my margin percent setup. When I hit the Home key and then I press the Enter key, I'm going to now go back into my inventory record, D3, type in my clerk code, and bring up my part. And you'll notice that now my margins are 55, 50, 45, 40, and 35. Keep in mind there's a little bit of rounding to get to a whole penny. And that information is now my new pricing for my part number. We have the ability, and there's another video that will walk through how to do this, to schedule this to run. You can either set up the screens and have them automatically run at night so that they can update your prices when you've received a price update, or you can save a library job and then run in there and run that job once you've done a price update so that your prices are immediately reflecting the new cost and the new margins that you've set up. If you have any questions on this, please feel free to call SBC 800-829-4722. You can also email us at sbctraining@autolog.com for further assistance. Thank you so much.